So we're here at Fillmore Farms and we're super excited to share a little bit about what Producers Market and the Storybird is helping us with, which is getting these walnuts from here to the processing plant. That's the commute, and then into our products here.
This is one of our fields where we're growing walnuts, and one of the reasons that we put in our processing plant is we wanted to be closer to our customers, but we also wanted the processing plant to be closer to the farm. And so when you go from the field to continue the journey the walnuts take, over here is where we actually process. We dry them and hull them, and then eventually we shell them right here on site. Middle of winter, the trees are asleep. They're dormant for the winter because they're more resistant to frost that way. In the springtime, March, they start to leaf out. All the stored energy that's in the roots actually comes back up into the branches, and you see the leaves, and you see the pollen, and you see the little nutlets form, and they get pollinated. And then in the spring, we start mowing, because come harvest, we need to have the vegetation on the ground floor lower so that we actually have a place that we can harvest the walnuts from. Over the summer, the nuts start to grow, and they fill out. The shell forms inside, and then the nut itself, the kernel, forms inside the shell. And the tree is continually feeding nutrients into that and concentrating those nutrients into the nut itself. When harvest comes, the nut hull, the green hull on the outside, starts to split open, and the nut will actually disconnect from the tree and drop. And harvest is a very fast process. We usually get done with harvest in about 2 to 3 weeks, but it's a very intense time period. Once the nuts are harvested, we take them into the plant. We take the green hull off for any that still have a green hull. The nuts are still pretty wet, maybe 30% moisture, and so they need to be dried, otherwise they would mold in storage. And so we dry them down to about 8% moisture and put them into storage until we can get to cracking them out over winter. Walnuts are really under-recognized, I think, as a health food. When you talk about superfoods, they are on the list, but they often are not included in superfood mixes. One of the challenges with walnuts is that they've high oil content, and so it's hard to store them long term because people think that they're shelf stable, and they're really not. But we're working to change that if we can. We wanted to reach people who are actually eating the food that we grow. And so by putting in the shelling plant, we're able to have communication with people like yourself. We're able to communicate with people all over the United States and the rest of the world that buy our walnuts. And it's given us a lot more feedback on things that we can improve, but also things that people really like about our nuts specifically.